Hello, check that's good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, without me having to mute. I hope I do it good this time and not do that stupid. Like cancel my search party. My. Oh, I hear myself. This time and not do that stupid. Like cancel my. Sharonette Wallen Robinson. Hope you've been having a great week, and I'm looking forward to having you folks call in to share your experiences with us, your COVID 19 experiences, what has been happening. For me, it's been 4 going on to 5 weeks since I've been home. What has been happening in your part of the world? How have you been coping? And so, we're going to ask you to share the link out to your friends and to your family so we can have persons on the chat to share their experiences, to engage, to see what's happening, to touch base with each other and to ensure everyone is staying as safe as they possibly can. So our numbers today to call in, again, it's a WhatsApp number, and we're going to ask you to add it as a contact in WhatsApp, and then you can call in from that number. Or alternatively, you can use YouTube. We're trying to do both of them, Facebook and YouTube, live simultaneously. So you can write your messages there, and I'll respond to your messages once I see them on the on the chat. So the WhatsApp number that's on your screen, it's plus 336 278 08675. Again, that's plus 336 278 08675. So that's the WhatsApp number for those of you who wanting to call in versus those who want to just use the chat to see what's there. So today again, as I mentioned, we're just gonna talk basically on what your experience has been, how has things been over the last few days for you more specifically. And again, we're gonna share tips with you on different coping strategies that people have been using, different ways that you can, manage your health while you're at home or while you are away from work, away from your workplace, or going about your business, just how to be mindful of different things that are happening to ensure that we keep safe and we get out of this situation as soon as possible and not overburden our healthcare system. So part of the things that we'll be talking about. I want to refresh again just some tips on working online, and part of it, working online or studying online, some of the things that they talk about is setting daily goals. And part of the challenge is that we have sometimes we set the goals and then we don't follow through with them. So I want to talk to people, those who've actually set goals. What do you do to keep yourselves motivated or keep yourself accountable with regards to setting goals? What are some of the things that you have been working on that has been working for you? So additionally, we've got set daily goals as some of the tips that we've got for those who are working from home. Having a dedicated workspace is also something that is encouraged as much as you possibly can. And then having scheduled time as to when you're gonna do different tasks. So having a scheduled time, that really helps. So choose a predictable, reliable time and then add deadlines if necessary. Sometimes for some of us that are less driven than others, a deadline helps us to get things done. So that's one of the things that they suggest is something that will definitely work, is setting a deadline so you can have things completed during the deadline. It helps us to get things done. So that's one of the things that they suggest is something. All right, so keeping yourself accountable is also something that we have noted there, and telling your friends or your coworkers, or even your family members, depending on what you're going through or what stage you're at, that will help you to get things accountable. So I'm gonna ask you to share. I've got a few minutes. I'm gonna ask you to share the link out so others can call in and chat with us as to what they've been experienced, what's been happening, how things have changed for them. Hi, I see Quentin on the line. Hi, Quentin. Welcome to Let's Talk. Hoping we can talk today and see how everything is going on. Something else is actively taking notes, and taking notes help you to synthesize the material that's there. It promotes active thinking. So a good rule of thumb is, taking notes helps to boost your comprehension, and also it extends your attention span. So whether you're working from home or you're doing classes online, taking notes is also a good strategy to help you to internalize that knowledge. Then it's joining the discussion, and it may be hard for certain persons, but it's also an option that you can join in the discussion, ask questions, be engaged in the conversation, and that way you will be able to retain more as you're engaged in the conversation. Okay. And then one of the final things that they mentioned here is doing one thing at a time. Multitasking doesn't really work for most people. Engaging and doing one thing at a time is the proven way to get things done. Focusing on one task at a time, it has more productivity, when you're doing one task at a time. So I'm still waiting for your calls to come in, still waiting for your chat to come in. I did say 7, but there's an additional 1 to take breaks. Resting your brain after learning is critical to high performance. So after you've learned something, you want to take a break, step away from what's there, go outside, chat with a friend, and that will re-energize you and give you some new ideas. So something to keep in mind that will help you as you're going through, as you're working from home, or as you're doing your online studies. All right. So I'm still expecting a few calls, so I'm just checking to see once those callers start calling in. Um, so I'm going to ask you to remember to share your information that's there. Again, we're on YouTube, and we're also so checking out Garnet TV on YouTube for the live link that's there. For some persons who were not who do not have a Facebook account, they've asked for other options that they can also call in and engage in the conversation, and that's an option. So please be sure to check out Garnet TV Canada or Garnet TV CA on YouTube, or Garnet TV on Facebook Live if you do have an account. You do have a Facebook account. All right. So we've talked of different things, and one of the things that came to mind this week was, how do people keep calm in a time like this? I have recognized over the past, I think, 4 weeks that I've been doing the program, how things have gotten closer and closer and closer, and I'm sure some of you can attest to that too. Before, you knew someone who knew someone who knew someone who was directly affected by the coronavirus, but now it's closer, there is a family member that or it's just one family over that that's been affected. So it has come closer, and as the time progresses, I'm sure that's more of what we're going to see. So more of us will be affected by it, or our families and close friends will be affected by it. So it's all the more for us to kind of talk of the different strategies we've used to keep ourselves safe, to help in recovery, and how to keep calm while this is happening. So some of the things I want to kind of put a bug in your ear to think about, what are different ways that you're working on different things. All right, so I've got a comment here. So I've got Donnet. Hi, Donnet. That's my mom, for those who don't know. She mentions, I'm in Jamaica. COVID is getting real here, and I think our people aren't taking it seriously. You can see what's going on with the physical distances. So that's one of the challenges that's currently in Jamaica. And I don't think it's just specific to Jamaica, many other places too, but it's getting more serious there. But persons aren't taking seriously the physical distancing that is required. So, people, we want to just remind you that the closer you are to persons, the more likely it is that you will interact with persons, and then you will be having sweat or whatever spittle may come from people's mouth when they cough or when they sneeze or when they talk. The closer you are to persons, the more likely it is that you'll be exposed to that. So we just want to encourage you, everyone in general, just to remember the precautions that we talk about. Hand washing is one of them that we talk about. Ensure that you're washing your hands with soap and water once that is available, scrubbing for at least 20 minutes and 20 seconds, sorry, not 20 minutes, you'd never finish. 20 seconds, washing thoroughly with warm water if you can have that. And if you do not have soap and water available, like if you're out and about, using an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol is also encouraged. And then you want to talk about coughing, covering your cough or your sneeze, coughing in your sleeve, to ensure that you're not, again, exposing others to whatever you may have. And then we talk about the physical distancing, which is very important that we abide by that. So I'm going to hop into the first caller that we've got.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm not too bad myself. So could you share your name and say exactly where you're calling from?
I am Raja and I'm calling from Edmonton.
So Raja, and you're calling from Edmonton. So Raja, what line of work are you in? What field of work are you in?
I'm in education and training.
Education and training. So it's been 4 weeks, I mentioned earlier, almost 5 weeks. What has been your experience so far with regards to whether it's homeschooling, working from home? How has things changed for you? Are you still in the office? What's happening for you as an educator?
I'm working from home, and I think I'm adjusting well now.
Okay.
It was very hard in the beginning. Like the first 2 weeks were very hectic, and especially with my kids. Doing online classes, I was teaching online. It was a bit tough, but I think now we're adjusting well.
Okay. So what have you done differently over the past few weeks that has helped with that adjustment?
I think the biggest is the flexibility of online classes.
Okay.
With like at the beginning, we were very overwhelmed, and we really wanted to finish things during the day.
Mm-hmm.
But gradually, the kids got to the point, it's okay to finish your work in the evening, and you have 24 hours to finish the assignments and homework.
Okay.
So it got better.
Okay, so you schedule it for a little later in the day so they don't feel as if they
Yeah,
have to cram everything
yeah,
in the first few hours of the
yeah,
morning. Okay.
yeah. And we divided like work into like smaller chunks, so they work a little bit, they play a little bit, and that works better.
Okay. So do you have a structure for the kids, or is it just pretty much what they want to do, or do you have a structure that you've outlined for them and given their
Uh,
tasks?
we we try to follow like a structure, but with kids, it's not always very easy to,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
especially when they're at home.
mm-hmm.
But we try as much as we can, and we try to get most of the work done.
Okay.
And like even not during the day, we would try to finish some of the work on the weekend.
Okay. Great. So, so for you, have you picked up any additional hobby or challenge since this quarantine has been going on?
It's we've been more into the kitchen, and my kids are trying some piano lessons, and so I would say piano, cooking, and we're trying to exercise, like watching YouTube videos, and
Mm-hmm.
I guess spending more family time, like not really hobbies, but like getting to know more about their cultural background, and some of the first language,
Mm-hmm.
the mother tongue. And so I think we're like, it's a curse and it's a blessing at the same time. It's a
Mm-hmm.
blessing in the sense we're getting together more often and doing things we would have never done during like the basic
The
school
regular
days.
day, regular day.
Yeah.
So when you say piano lessons, are they like learning it on YouTube? Did they have any of that
Yeah.
background before, or it's brand new for them?
So it's I would say it's like they were like beginners,
Mm-hmm.
but there were like so many YouTube videos to learn piano, and they were like picking occasions. So we had Dad's birthday, and then they learned to play the happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
song.
song. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So yeah. Yeah.
That's great. So,
Yeah.
so you've shared with us what your experience has been. So like for you, that's teaching that you're an educator. Like what's it like for, for yourself as an educator and your students? What has that been like with that transition to online learning for your students? What are some of the challenges they're having there?
I think it's bigger. Like the challenge is really big for some of my students,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they're doing great. They're enjoying the new learning environment, and they're like really catching up with assignments and with work and I try my best to keep it very structured, like
Mm-hmm.
very predictable every week
Mm-hmm.
with my lesson plan and how I post things.
Okay. Okay, so that
Yeah,
helps them through that.
yeah.
Awesome. And then, so is there any advice you want to share to others as they're going through this? Everyone's at home or trying to be at home as much as possible. What advice do you want to share with people who are listening to the program today to encourage them during this
Uh,
experience?
I would say like look at the positive part of this whole thing.
Okay.
Like the highlight is like it's time to get together with your loved ones, and do more things and invent things, like new ways of doing things,
Mm-hmm.
and get active.
Okay. So get
Yeah,
active, look at the positive side.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So I've got another call coming in, but thank you so much for your time
All
today.
right. And thanks for the wonderful program.
Okay. God bless.
Bye.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
So can you share for me your name and where you are calling from?
This is Leticia, and I'm calling from Georgia.
Leticia from Georgia. And I see another call coming in, a 561 number. So if you can just hold a little bit, maybe another 5 minutes, and then I'll get back in touch with you with another call that's on the line. So
No
Leticia,
problem.
you're from Atlanta. You said Georgia. So what
Yes,
line of work are you in?
I'm in IT.
You're in IT, information technology. And so does
Yes.
that mean you're working from home? Are you still going into the office? What has that been like for you with regards to work?
For me right now, I've been working full time from home.
Did you ever do that before, or were you always in the office before that?
Always in the office. Rarely I work from home unless I had like something to take care of. I would just ask for permission to get my work done from home. But
For the most part, you were in the
mm,
office.
yes,
So how have you been adjusting to this change, of working from home? How has it been for you?
it's been pretty good. I've been able to accomplish a lot. Never thought that would be, not possible, but I've been able to carry through pretty well with getting my work done while monitoring the kids at home. So,
So
mm,
are there
yeah.
any strategies that you've put in place to get that done? Because I figure you don't get it just off the fly, but any strategies that you've put in place to, you know, to be able to having it go through smoothly as it is now?
Yes, I think what I have been doing so far is to set up a schedule.
Okay.
So I would normally get up, a few hours before everybody's up. And then once the girls are up, then I'll take a little break and prepare breakfast for them,
Okay.
get them situated. Takes me, probably about 30, 35 minutes. And then I'm off again to get my part of work done. And then probably a few minutes here and there, I might check on Jessica, which is the youngest, because she is able to access the websites that she needs to get her work done on. But for YouTube, sometimes she has to watch videos and stuff. So I would definitely have to access my mailbox and get that up and running for her. And then she's able to take care of things from there because she's able to read. So thank God for that. And then she's able to prepare her work. And then once she's done, most times if it's stuff where she has to write, I have to take pictures of that and then I have to email it off to the teacher.
Post it to the teacher.
That's
So
right.
you're kind of juggling both work and you're being a teacher
Yeah.
at home too.
But it's not as bad as I thought. Probably if the girls were younger, it would have been more demanding. But for the most part, they're able to get a lot of stuff done by themselves. And then we'll take a break again at lunchtime for lunch. And then, they have the little small snack in between, which they are able to grab by themselves. And then, I'm able to carry through the rest of the day. So a schedule is very important.
Okay,
Yeah.
so setting up a schedule and taking breaks, that's also something that we spoke about.
Yeah,
That's something
taking
that's
breaks.
important.
Yeah. And the breaks are almost like if you're in the office and you need to go to the break room just to get some coffee or some tea. And it's almost like that. Yeah, just going downstairs because I work upstairs, so just walking downstairs to get some tea or water, and then check on the girls. Are you guys okay?
And
Then
doing that. And that's kind of something that I've incorporated too. Like when I'm going to the washroom, I actually go to the washroom downstairs, so it forces me to get up from my area, stretch a little, break it up a
Yeah.
little bit more than just going to the washroom right next to where I am, and then in a few seconds I'm back at my seat. So I definitely
That's
see how
right.
that's been working. So so you've been working from home, you've been homeschooling, it's working, it's good so far for you. What's been happening in Georgia? What's the situation of COVID-19 like there? Is it crazy like it is in New York? Not to that state. Like what has it been like? What
Yeah,
have the streets been like?
it's definitely not as crazy as it is in New York. Thank God for that. We are barely on the street. I mean, today's our anniversary, so we ordered some food, and instead of having a delivery, Arthur actually chose to go and get it. So
Well, happy anniversary. Can I break in and say happy anniversary? Happy anniversry.
thank you, thank you, thank you. So besides that, we've only had probably a few trips here or there. Probably I went to the office once, and there was another time when I went to Walmart once, and Arthur had gone to the Mac store to get some work done on his laptop. Other than that, we've been off the street. We haven't been going anywhere. And for this entire week, we did not even take the girls outside to ride their bikes or anything. We were totally, at home, probably in our backyard and stuff. We have not gone on the street to walk or anything. So
Okay, so you're taking your precaution as they've
yeah.
asked for. And I'm
Yes.
gonna pause and ask those who are viewing to remember to share the links that you've got, whether it's YouTube or Facebook. Share it out so others can join into the conversation and listening to what persons have been sharing about their experiences and how they've been managing. So, Leticia, is there anything new, a new hobby or challenge that you've picked up during your time at home or since the quarantine has started?
Well, yes.
Okay.
I think probably more in the gardening world.
Okay.
Yes, I have been doing this for a few years, but I've always been buying like my plants and stuff
Mm-hmm.
and seeds. And then this year, because I haven't had the opportunity to go to the store to buy stuff, I had like some vegetables and stuff that were beyond the point where you would want to consume it. So,
Yes.
I've been trying to figure out how I can use these things, and I've, gone on YouTube and gotten a lot of information. So I've been doing a lot of gardening,
Okay.
planting, vegetables and even flowers and stuff. So yeah, I've been spending a lot of time in my backyard.
All right. So
And
you've picked up gardening now that you're home and you're forced to. You're not on the street as much.
yeah, that's right.
That's a good hobby to pick up. Yeah, at least you can feed your family a little bit after this.
That's right.
So
Yes.
what are two things I'll ask you to kind of wrap up. So what's your advice that you've got to share with others? And then the second thing is, what two things do you appreciate more because of this experience?
What do I want to share?
Yeah,
The
what advice
first
do you want to give to others who are listening into the program?
advice, what I would say is, I know it's rough, and this is nothing that we've ever experienced before, and the what I'm lying on right now is my faith, and I would encourage us to trust God
Mm-hmm.
that He will bring us through this storm,
Yeah.
and to find time to, to communicate and to reach out to family and friends, and just to find out exactly how they're doing or how you can actually help during this time.
Okay.
You don't have to be there physically, but just to talk to someone on the phone or just to send an email or a text to someone. I know a lot of people will appreciate that.
Okay.
And I have, during this time, our family has grown so much
Mm-hmm.
where we are getting to know a lot more about each other.
Yeah.
Just now for dinner, it's our anniversary, and we were talking to the girls about our wedding. We're talking about, the pregnancies and all those stuff. So they appreciate all these stories and
Yeah.
stuff that we
Yeah.
had to share about them and when they were young and stuff. And we've had the opportunity to watch a lot of family movies together and a lot of game time. So even, right now, what we do is we'll have dinners together, which, this time actually allows us to have a lot of meal time together.
Okay.
So we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And normally after dinner, the girls will be like, can we play a game together?
Okay.
Which we never did before. So that's really special to them. And the girls will do, it's Sunday, it's family day. So there's a whole lot that we're getting to learn from each other, just having the opportunity to share in
Spend
this
more time
fashion.
together. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's so special. It's really good. And then the girls are getting to do a lot of stuff on their own where they'll bake. Sunday evening, they're looking forward now to, to bake brownies and stuff with little no assistance. So there's just a whole lot. We're learning from them. They're learning from us. We don't have to say where we're going tomorrow. No, we get to use the time to do a lot of family things together. And it's really special. It's really unique. Jessica, 2 nights ago, she's like, Mommy, it's time for me to come and read to you your bedtime story.
Okay, that's
Normally,
awesome.
so here we have a kid is 6, and she's like, she texted me and she said, Mommy, do you know which book I'm going to read tonight? And it's so special. I try to record stuff because I want them to look back at, things like this. So it's really unique. It's so different.
That's
And we're
great. So
making
you're having family traditions and also story time with your family, making new memories
that's right.
because of this experience. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Very
thank you,
nice.
Leticia, and again, happy anniversary to you. Wishing you many more,
Thank you.
and all
Thank
the
you, dear.
best. Sure to share the link out to and invite others to come in to chat and to listen in as persons share their experience. Take care.
All right, girl. Thank you so much for having me. I love you. You take
Perfect.
care.
Love you too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as I've got Raja calling earlier from Edmonton, and Leticia calling from Atlanta, Georgia, and they're sharing similar experiences of how they're working together through this experience. And I'm going to encourage you to, take notes or little nuggets of things that is helpful to you. I'm taking notes and I'll recap as I go through too. And be sure to share your experience. What have you been experiencing? Be sure to send the link out to others too. Can call in and hear what's happening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, and how are you today? How is Canada? It's a pleasure listening to your program.
I am fine, thank you, Canada. It depends on where in Canada you are. In Edmonton, it's a little not too bad. It's cool. I think it's actually single digits, and it should be double digits this week, so we're happy. It's great weather for us.
That's wonderful, wonderful.
So, what is your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Lee Dyer, and I'm calling from Florida in the U.S.
Lee Dyer from Florida. Awesome. So, Lee, what line of work are you in?
I do a lot of things. I always do a lot of things. Sometimes I'm in the schoolroom.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I do insurance.
Okay.
Other times I do tax preparation. Sometimes I work at
education.
Yes.
Kind of quite a few things you've got on the go.
Yes, I'm always like that.
So that's interesting. So, like, how has your experience been so far with this COVID-19 quarantine? And because you're in so many different areas, I'm sure you're seeing different things with regards to, say, insurance, education, the school environment. How has things been since this COVID-19 experience, quarantine?
Okay, well, let's take them one by one. The school system is completely closed down. Was closed down since the 17th of February. That's been a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Yes. So that's that for school. For insurance, I'm kind of rebooting.
Okay.
Configuring a new platform.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But with respect to COVID, I approach it from a multifaceted standpoint. Mm-hmm. There's several ways I look at it and deal with it, and I can't say that it's a good experience for me, even though I'm appreciating that it is also a pretty risky situation because no one knows who has it. Yeah. No one knows really how you can contract it, and that part of it, from a human standpoint, it's kind of risky, and it feeds a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah.
But notwithstanding, the time that I use in this COVID, quote unquote, free time has been mostly directed at my spiritual life.
Okay.
I have a lot of time to read a lot of stuff that I have always wanted to read. And I pray a lot more. Mm-hmm. I do schedule my prayer time a lot more. I have so much more time to spend with God, and I'm telling you, that's where I spend the bulk of my time.
Okay, so your spiritual life has been enhanced or has grown much because of this experience.
Been tremendously enhanced, and in the Southeast Conference, we our prayer ministry, I believe, has been benefited. We have a multiplicity of prayer lines all over the place, and at different times we feed into. And I give you an example of one of the prayer lines. It's ongoing. It never ceases.
Okay.
So if somebody gets sick, for example, then and we know of the name of that person, the name is plugged into that line, and everybody goes into zero in and begin to pray for that person.
Okay.
In fact, so far there has just been one death of all the names of the people who have been prayed for on that prayer line, and there have been numerous. So throughout the entire course of the day or night, people are plugging in names. We continue to pray. Sometimes we put reassuring messages so that those people who are suffering or anxious, there's a place that, yes, they can be encouraged. And so that's one of the things that we're doing. Then there is the Bible study Bible study lines.
Okay.
The
All right.
different platforms that we've been able to like study all day on Saturday, which is
Which
the
is
day I
good.
worship.
All right, hold a second for me, Lee. I just wanted to give a shout out while you're on the line to Mike Vasco. Mentioned good initiative. Thank you, Mike. Looking forward to you calling into or asking your questions online. And Anne-Marie Levine, hi, Stacy, watching from Jamaica. We encourage you to share with others who are there so they can join in the conversation and listening to how others have been coping around the world. This is Lee that's on the line, that's calling from Florida, sharing about the prayer line that they've had with their church conference, how they've been able to pray for persons who have been afflicted by this coronavirus, and also send them reassuring messages for those who are anxious about what's happening. And this has really, helped her and help others. So some of the things we ask about what you can do from, you're at home, but then there are things you can do, for example, like this. You can pick a phone up, you can call, you can pray for someone, you can encourage someone. So these are some great initiatives that are being shared by different persons. Yeah, go ahead, Lee.
Right. So my COVID time is very busy. It's very, very busy.
Okay.
We keep our prayer groups very busy. We encourage them. We pass on material to use as prayer points, and we continue to be in contact with as many people as we can so that we can also help them to get through, because we are aware that some people can be faced with loneliness, can be faced with depression, can need some help. And so it's a multifaceted approach.
Okay.
Also, I use it to prepare for what's coming next.
Okay. And so, what kind of advice would you give to others as they're going through things like this? And you've mentioned prayer. What else have you used as your coping strategy with regards to what's happening?
I listen to a lot of religious music.
Okay.
And I learned a lot of new songs. In fact, I learned a beautiful song this Friday morning past. And it's talking about the whole creation rise and sing, my God is and King. I never knew that song. It was such an inspiring song to me.
Okay.
And so, like I said before, that the bulk of my engagement in this COVID-19 time is really spent, spiritually, although everything else is wrapped up in it. Because if your life is lived according to the principles of the Bible, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So even if I'm creating a new platform for my job, it is also it's also spiritual. It is also spiritually guided, and I have no loneliness, although I'm generally alone for most of the day. But I'm not lonely.
Okay.
I have no feeling of depression or anything, and that's not to beat my chest. It's just to say that what I'm engaged in is fulfilling.
Okay.
And it's a way to help people, and there are good results because most of the people that we have prayed have recovered.
That's good. That's a great testimony.
Yeah.
That's a great testimony.
Yes. So generally speaking, that's how I spend my time. Above all, I keep in touch with all of our friends here in the United States, over there in Canada, in Jamaica, in England, wherever they are. We keep in touch with them just to encourage them and, to remind them to be medically wise, to obey whatever rules are set for their protection and not treat it lightly. Yeah. And again, we bring the word of God to them as it is written, to encourage them and also to bring to them biblical instances of, say, for example, social distancing. For example, there was a time when the children of Israel were traveling, and one of them got an infectious disease. The person's name was Miriam, and she had to social distance until she got well.
Of the disease. So the same thing you're sharing with people too. It's
That's
nothing
right.
new.
That's
Take
right.
the precaution, or take
It's
the precaution
nothing new.
seriously.
It's something that is wise,
and it works.
And so it's just a way. It does work.
Okay.
So it's just spreading your wings wherever the Lord inspires you to.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Lee, for calling in and sharing with us. Continue to keep safe and continue to pray for others who are infected or those who are maybe lonely or going through different things. Thank you for your ministry, and ask you to continue to do that for others who are around.
Thank you too, and God bless you on your program. And I hope that there are others who can call in and be blessed by what you're doing, and may you continue to be successful and to follow where the Lord lead you. Have a wonderful evening.
All right,
And
thank
all the
you.
best.
Okay.
Send you some sunshine.
Thank you. I
Bye.
appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and welcome to Dominique. Thank you so much, Sharonette. You're doing amazing work. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to encourage you all to share. And if you think it's an amazing work, encourage other persons to call in or to share their information that's there. So I'm seeing Nicholas, and Nicholas is mentioning he's calling from Jamaica, and he thinks COVID-19 is having a tremendous effect on our education system. Nicholas, I'd like to hear some more about, when you say a tremendous effect, what kind of effect are you talking about on the education system? Just give me some more information on what's happening there. I'm seeing a call coming through on my phone. Stacy, I'm going to ask you to call in on the WhatsApp number. Again, add that WhatsApp number as a contact. It's +33 627 808 675. So if you can call in from that number, if you want to chat with me, please go ahead and call in from that number that's connected so others can hear what you're sharing. I also had another missed call from WhatsApp, so if you want to call back now too, I appreciate that. Again, the WhatsApp number is +33 627 808 8675. So persons are sharing how things have impacted them or have been impacting them. And yeah, Nicholas, tell us some more about, what kind of effect it's been having on the education system. Are you a student? Are you a teacher? And how is it from your angle of things? Remember to share the link, whether WhatsApp or Facebook, so others can share their stories and they can call in. So some of the things that people have shared, if you haven't heard yet, is reminding the kids that they've got the flexibility, so everything doesn't have to be done in the first hour of work or of school, and having persons set a schedule that really helps. Putting breaks in place so the kids can have that downtime. People are talking about relying on their faith, and that has been a big source of encouragement for them. As I talk about that, this week I was thinking about, what do I share today? That's, in addition to what I usually share. And the thought came to me about peace and, how many persons actually have peace during this experience. Okay, got another call. Just take this in. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good.
So could you share your name for me and where you're calling from?
Sure. My name is Jeremy, and I'm calling from Queens, New York.
Jeremy from Queens, New York. Welcome, Jeremy. So, Jeremy, what line of work are you in?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What line of work are you in?
Oh, I'm an attorney.
You're an attorney. Oh, nice,
Yes.
fancy. So I had an attorney call in last week too from New York. So, so what has it been like? What has been like with the COVID-19 experience so far? New York, we hear, has been crazy. What has it been on the ground for you, someone who's living in New York? Is it what we see on the news, or is it nothing like that?
Definitely, it's definitely worse than kind of what you see on the news. It's kind of like a scene from a movie, in like those Hunger Games movie where it's like there's nobody in the street in the middle of the day in New York City. You go out, there's tons of parking spaces. There's nobody on the street. You can essentially cross Fifth Ave or Madison Avenue and it wouldn't be an issue.
Wow. So that yeah, probably seen it from an apocalypse, if you ask me. So like, what have you been doing? Have you been working from home? Have you been going in the office? How has things changed for you?
Yes, all the courses have been closed for the last month or so. So I have been working from home,
Okay.
since then. So it's definitely been a change of pace. We still have to get work done and such. But with the course being closed, you kind of get more flexibility and more leeway to do your own thing from home. There's still deadlines and stuff that you have to meet, as well as the children being home. So on top of doing your work, you also got to make sure the children are fed and clothed. So it's definitely a total, it's like not real. It's really from like a movie script.
So when you mentioned the course being closed, like nothing, no emergency cases, nothing at all, is just shut down until further notice?
No, only emergency cases were being heard. Recently, I got something from actually Brooklyn I think it was Brooklyn Court, that said that they're now starting to move back in and do like, non-emergency cases.
Okay.
But that's just by video conferencing as well. So they,
So
the
different
courts are not like
options.
reopened. Correct.
Okay.
They still want you to submit all your paperwork, whether it's motions or oppositions to motions, and they're going to take them on submission. So there's still deadlines and stuff that needs to be met.
Even though
But
court's
we're just
in
not
session.
physically correct. We're just not
Okay.
physically in court.
Okay. So, like, since you're home, you're working from home, like, how has that been? How have you been adjusting to that with the kids at home and everything like that, as you mentioned? What has worked for you? What strategies have worked for you to ensure that you're still on top of things, although you're not in the office anymore?
It's so here's what we do. I mean, our schedule is we wake up in the morning. My wife has a conference call with her job at 8:10 a.m. every morning. So from 8:10 to 8:30, she's up, she's on the call. Between that time, I'm up. I'm normally getting some stuff for the kids, getting them breakfast, getting them dressed for the day, and then she kind of takes over, and I log in. We kind of like take turns.
Okay.
Obviously, we still got to feed the kids. So we
Yes, you
normally
have
go
to.
that way, till around like lunchtime or so, then, she takes a break. She gives the kids, food, and then she kind of spends some time with them, all the time while I'm working. We try to be done, by around 4:30 or 5. We are very fortunate enough that we actually have a backyard,
Okay.
so we can get the kids outside to go run around and kind of burn off some of that energy in the backyard till about like, 6:30. We come in, we shower, and then we get, we start getting dressed for bed.
Okay. So I see you both tag team, so both you and your wife offsetting each other with regards to who's watching the kids or who's working.
That is correct.
at different
Exactly.
time.
Exactly.
You've got a
Correct.
close-off time. You mentioned at 4:30, so you're not working into 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the night. You're basically
Well,
shut
no,
down.
well, it normally depends. I mean, once they go back to bed, I normally have, some more stuff I get
Okay.
to, I get to take care of. But it's also like a thin line where you have to get your work done. But at the same time, you kind of relish this opportunity where, you have a chance to kind of be home with the family for such a long time. Like,
Yeah.
I had my conversation with my wife recently, and we said that there will never ever be a time where we'll have this much time together again. So, as much as it's stressful, and we're trying to deal with everything, we also just try to enjoy, having this moment. It's like a
Together.
frozen moment in time that we'll never get back. Correct.
So Jeremy, is there any new hobby or challenge that you've picked up since the quarantine?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Is there any new hobby or challenge that you've picked up since the quarantine?
New hobby? Yes, I'm actually a better chef now since the quarantine.
Okay, better chef.
Yes,
Should ask your wife
I was.
about that.
I was good before, but I'm definitely better now.
Okay. So
Before,
what's,
I could only make hot dogs, and now I can also make, pancakes and fried eggs and
I was
stuff.
just
So
gonna ask what's the top dish now, but okay, pancake
listen to me,
and
man.
eggs.
Baby steps, baby steps, baby steps.
Okay. Okay, better chef. So I'm gonna ask you something. So you're in New York, and as I mentioned earlier, as the time gets closer, like the circle is closing in. So before we knew someone who knew someone who knew someone who was affected by coronavirus, but now it's closer where someone, a family that's affected by the coronavirus. How has it been? Do you know anyone directly who's been affected by the coronavirus, and how are they coping through this?
I actually know. I know quite a bit, quite a few people. Let me start off by saying I've been very fortunate that none of my family or my direct family, that I know of at least, has been affected by this. I've actually had friends that their spouse and or their parents have been affected. I actually know a few of them. We actually lost relatives to this. So it's not it's definitely a real life thing. You kind of have conversation with I have one friend specifically where his father has it. He also lost a cousin that has it, and an uncle also died recently.
Wow.
So like it's just ravaging his family. And again, these people are also in separate locations. So it's not like they're in the same house and you would assume that it's in the house, so it spreads. No, that's not the case. These people are in different states and all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this thing is literally all over the place.
Okay. And how have those folks been coping with it, with what's been happening? Because it's a new thing for everyone, and to have so many persons at once in your family, how have persons been coping, or how have you been encouraging those who, have been directly impacted?
It's very stressful. I mean, obviously we can't be with them face to face, so we do try to to keep in touch with them and just kind of keep them in good spirits, because that's all that we can do right now. Obviously the media's, whether it's FaceTime or just kind of telephone calls, just to kind of make sure, they're still alive. And I say that kind of jokingly, but like in these stressful times, it's different for everyone because everyone is really used to getting up and doing their own thing. Like they had a set routine that they were doing. And that was kind of like Groundhog Day, where they get up and it's the same routine over and over again.
Yeah.
And, people, can get stressed out with this. I have a friend, he's actually quarantined alone. And it's a lot for him. So, I just kind of keep in touch with him. Obviously, we pray together, same thing with the family and stuff, and we just try to maintain somewhat of a regular life,
Normalcy.
through, FaceTime, or WhatsApp.
All right. Well, thank you. And so, Jeremy, is there any advice that you want to share with others who are listening to the program today? Those who are on YouTube or on Facebook listening to the program, what advice would you want to share with them? Based on what you've been seeing, the experiences of those around you. What is it that you want to share to our listeners today?
I would definitely say that as much as this is stressful and as much as this is unprecedented, and we kind of don't know what's going on. We don't know when it would end, the social distancing as well. I just really appeal to everyone to just take time out, and just kind of enjoy, this time that you have. As you mentioned earlier, whether it's a new skill or a new hobby or, just kind of enjoy the people that are around you.
Okay.
One of the things I learned at this point is that you can't really take relationships for granted.
Okay.
And, because you kind of always assume that, Uncle so-and-so is always going to be there. So instead of calling him now, I'll wait for like a couple of weeks and then I'll get back to him. Or, you put off a visit to go see your grandmother because, you'd be like, she's always going to be there. And I mean, this is not the case.
Yeah.
Again, I've actually one of my friends, their husband got it and their father got it and the father passed away.
Wow.
And it's never a good time for anyone to pass away, but passing away now is just so bad because, they don't really get that closure, that they need. When they go into the hospitals, they can't even have a loved one there with them to kind of help them, through the pain because they're not even letting anyone visit them in the hospital. So,
and
it's rough.
That, I just want to pause a second because I've got LV on YouTube mentioning in a comment we have to protect our mental health too. And that's going to be something so important, especially with persons losing loved ones and not having that time to grieve or, that closure that you're used to. It's going to be a whole different level for persons, things that persons would have to deal with. So it's very important that we do look at our mental health. Thank you for that point, LV, because that's going to be, so vital to get us through this experience.
Absolutely. My wife and I, we actually have like a list, literally have a note that we share on our phones. And every couple of days, we kind of like reach out to a few people that, either are just quarantining alone or just been going through a lot. Because, in addition to the medical aspect, there's also the professional aspect where people actually losing their jobs as well. So on top of you being scared to go outside, to, with fear of contracting this, you're also losing your job and you don't really know, what's going on or when you'll get another job and you also have, kids to feed and bills to pay. So there's just literally a lot of things going on. So again, we just have like a list that we share that, every couple of days, one of us is kind of reach out, to the person and be like, hey, hope all is well. So again, I would just definitely, just tell everyone to just kind of, just don't take the relationships for granted. Don't take people for granted. Don't take the fact that you can get up and go outside and, play football on a Sunday morning for granted. Because right now, all of that, exactly has been taken away.
Yeah. So value life as we have it, right? Because we don't know how long we've got the persons around or even our freedoms around. So make the best of it while we've got it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Jeremy, for sharing, and keep safe with your family, and just continue to do your part where it may seem like a simple task, but as I've said in the previous sessions, if it's just a phone call to someone, you don't know how much that brightens someone's day, and people are really appreciative of it, especially those who are alone or those who are older and they can't go out of their houses. Whatever ways you can help is appreciated.
Absolutely, and thank you for this program as well. It's very beneficial. to all of us that are, kind of going through things. And people get affected by this, different ways. So for you to provide a forum where we can actually interact, and hear other people's, stories, that's definitely a blessing to us. So definitely keep doing what you're doing as well.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy. All the best.
All right. Take it easy.
Okay.
All right.
Hello. So I've got one other person before I even go there to the next person on the line. Another comment from LV. I was withdrawn for the second. Hello. 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 So I got one other person before I go there to the next person on the line. Another comment from LV. I'm hearing a background. Whoever it is that's on the line. So if you could turn your volume down. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes. Good evening. How are you?
I am good, thanks.
What is your name and where are you calling from?
I am Stacy calling from Jamaica.
You're Stacy calling from Jamaica. I've got lots of Jamaicans
Yes.
calls. Welcome, Stacy. I'll make one more
Yes.
comment. LV made a comment about being withdrawn for the second and third weeks of quarantine. The level of uncertainty is scary, and that just kind of goes with what Jeremy was saying about persons losing their jobs or not knowing if they'll have a job at the end of what's happening. So persons are, worried about different things that's happening or the unknown. So Stacy, so what line of work or what field of work are you in?
Actually, I'm an early childhood practitioner.
Okay, so really to childhood.
Yes.
And I had a comment earlier from Nicholas that COVID-19 is having a tremendous effect on the education system. So can you speak to that statement? Like what kind of impact has it been having on the education system?
Okay, what has happened? So, school, we're from school from March 12th, but the government had put in place some things for the children. So what we have done, we are doing online classes, but since the Easter break, we haven't had any class. So classes will resume this Wednesday. But what I would have wanted for more parents, even though we know this is a strain on the parents, because when it comes onto the internet and paying for the bills or data plan, we know it is not easy on some parents, and some parents doesn't have a smartphone. But what I would have wanted is for parents to show more interest in their children in terms of their education.
Okay. So one of the things is having parents show more initiative or more interest in getting involved with regards to their kids' education.
Right.
I've seen quite a lot of videos on Facebook with parents apologizing to teachers and how they've taken them for granted. So thank you as an educator, and I'm sure
Actually,
many parents are recognizing how much more you guys do, when they send their kids out to school in the days.
Right, because it can be quite tedious having them, but it's a joy. But now we are happy that parents realize and appreciate what we are going through, because having to deal with 17 to 20 children on a daily basis, it is not easy. You have to have the love for it in order to really deal with them. But it's a joy for me.
Okay.
Right.
So what's it been like for you working from home? Because I'm sure that's new for you too. Early childhood, you're used to being in the classroom and, having lots of activity with the kids. What's it like now that you're on the other side and you're behind a phone or behind a screen communicating with the kids? How is that like for you?
My honest opinion is that I love children dearly, as was said before, and I love being around them. I love talking to them. I love communicating with them. I love playing with them. And not having that to deal with, it's not so easy, but I am coping because even though the chats or the medium for me to talk with them, it's not working out, but what I try to do is try to call them outside of the group that I have set up for them and find out how they are doing and try to keep in touch with the parents and try to be friends with them as well and let them know that we care and we're still there.
So having that
no
one-on-one communication with the parents outside of the WhatsApp group that you may have set up.
Right.
Okay, and I'm going to encourage people to share, even as we're on this point. Share, like, comment, so other of your friends can dial in or listen in to the program. What's working for them. They may have questions too, and to see how others are coping during this pandemic. So, so you're working from home, you're making adjustments, you're trying to do, outside of what is provided, you're making personal calls to the parents just to ensure they're okay and letting them know that you care. So, Stacy, have you picked up any new hobbies or challenges since this quarantine, since this pandemic?
Being a Christian, and this has been really a good time for us because I have an 8-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son, and my husband here, and it has been a good family time for us because it's a time of getting together. It's a time of knowing each other, even though we thought we knew each other, but it's really a time of getting to know each other and being there for my friend, for my children, because I'm a college student as well, and having to leave them to go to school in the afternoon, it can be so heartbreaking. So being here and studying from home, it has been good for me. This one is really working out for me because I have time to spend with them, even though we have to schedule our time on a daily basis to ensure that my daughter do what she has to do, and this is in place and that is in place and all of that. But it has been good.
It has been good. So you appreciate that you've got more family time. You're going to spending more time with the family, with the kids. So you're at least enjoying or seeing the silver lining behind this dark cloud.
Yes, and another thing is that persons normally call and say pray for me, but we have taken up this thing whereby when somebody asks, or even if they doesn't ask for prayer, we leave a prayer voice note on their phone, or we call them and say, I want to pray for you. The Lord has bid me to pray for you today. So that is a new thing that we have taken on, and it's working because persons are there feeling desperate and feeling all alone and wanted a call or somebody to talk to them. And so when somebody hear you praying for them, this is really a good thing. And also this has given me an opportunity to study more books that I always wanted to do, religious book, and getting closer to God. So this is working out on our side.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Stacy, for sharing, and that's a good option too, to share having a prayer voice note to share for those who are believers. Sharing a prayer voice note with someone, so someone knows that you're praying for them. That's really encouraging as they're going through their different struggles. I know for some persons who have been afflicted or their family has been, they probably will not be in a position to answer your phone call or respond to your text messages, but sending a voice note of encouragement is something that, of course, I'm sure they will appreciate, and even though they can't respond to you, it will go a far way in encouraging them.
Yes.
Okay, so is there any advice you want to share with others before we leave, Stacy? What advice would you share with others as we're going through this experience?
I would just encourage us to know that this too shall pass. This is not the end of the world, and just keep positive and try to call someone to say something positive to someone each day. Try to be a friend to somebody, and even if you cannot go near the person, since we are practicing social distance, you can still come out with the taking the precautions. You can still go and talk with your neighbor, talk with your friend. You can go at the fence, or you can give somebody a call. And you can continue to encourage somebody, let them know that, this is not the end, and this too shall pass.
Okay.
Right.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, talking to people, encouraging people, being positive. Persons I've mentioned before, and even as Garnet TV mentioned, as believers, God is the solution for the issue that you're having. So those of you who are believers, I'm just going to encourage you to pull on your faith, draw on your faith, and even for those who are questioning, it may be a time for you to go on a spiritual quest to see, what is this bringing out? What is this going to help me to learn about myself or about nature? Is there really a creator? Is life just going to continue like this? Or is there more to life like this? Is someone in charge? Everything just seems to be happening out of war, but is there someone in charge? Is there a higher power in charge? So thank you, Stacy, for sharing. I'm sure others are encouraged, and different ways that they can call and encourage people. Jeremy mentioned it too, that they've got a list that they call different persons different days. So it's something simple, but it's something that goes a long way, and people really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your call, Stacy.
And thank you for having me.
All right, continue to share and continue to be safe.
I will.
Okay.
Good.
All right, I want to thank everyone who are calling in and who are sharing their suggestions. We really appreciate it. And as I said, it may seem simple. It may seem, when you have a drip of water that's in the ocean, if you notice it has a ripple effect. It may be just one drop and it seems insignificant, but the ripple effect, you never know how far it reaches, or there's that
Hello?
one person that you'll encourage. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. How are you? Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. How are
Good
you?
evening. I'm doing well. Elvis Salter from Jamaica.
Elvis Sauce. Okay, Elvis, we saw you mentioning earlier about having to protect our mental health. So I'm going to ask you before I
Yes.
even get there, what line of work are you in?
Well, I'm a secondary educator. I teach at a high school in Clarendon.
Okay, so
I
you're
teach primarily grade 7 students, between 12 and 13.
okay. It's 12 and 13-year-olds. All right. So
Yeah, they are.
you mentioned earlier you were withdrawn for the second. Talk to us about your COVID experience. Like, what has been the change? You were withdrawn. Like, what do you think was causing that? How has that changed, or why do you think that has changed now?
All right. For everybody that knows who Elvi is, I love interacting. I thrive off social interaction, right? Meeting people, greeting people, being around people. When that is suddenly taken away from you, there's so many things that's going through your mind. You start to think about the thing that you didn't do last year. You start to think about the things that you could have done better and everything. You're alone at home with all your thoughts, and then that might be difficult to manage. Then, with all that anxiety, you have this thing you don't know when it's going to end. So those two paired together can cause you to be withdrawn. Waking up at 4 p.m., 5 p.m., going to bed at 5 a.m., and when thinking, when is this going to end? How can I manage all these emotions? So you're not around anybody. But for somebody like me, when I'm around, especially my students, I'm giving them things to do. I'm doing things, and I have this bright hope, and then all of a sudden, that is gone. So, I have nothing to do.
How have you been? So you've adjusted. So you mentioned that happened a few weeks ago. Like, what has caused the change? How have you been managing
All right.
this condition or this experience?
After a few conversations with friends, then I realized that my principal for my school, she's still going, she's still going, and I'm saying, all right, if she's still going, plus the conversation that I had with a few friends, if she's still going and everybody else is still hopeful, then all right, I'm gonna adjust to this, and then I snap out of it, start function like normal, because nothing is gonna go back to normal for now.
Yeah.
But I'm functioning better now than two,
Before.
3 weeks ago. Yeah.
So you're
The thing is,
you're having the conversations and you're pulling on the strength of others.
yeah, you have to. That's what I was going to. You have to. If you're cut off everybody, then you're gonna have you and your thoughts alone, and then that can't help. So if every now and then you can call somebody, or I'm sure that they'll appreciate the call as well, because everybody is locked away at home. So if we can keep connections, which was mentioned on the caller before, Miss Levine, if you can keep the connections, that's good. If I even meme, because I love memes, and in the second and third week, not even memes, but I'm back to looking at some memes right now.
Yeah, something to laugh about to kind of clear your mind a little bit.
My friend sent me a video with her and her children doing awesome. And then the laugh from watching the three of them was refreshing. So, just keep the connection.
Okay.
The thing I want to mention about the school, because the school is going to be a topic that everybody will mention. While there are students without connections, right? We're failing to mention a group of students, the one that have the connection, have the data and the Wi-Fi at home. But this has never happened before. They've never had so many free time before, so they are opting to be consumed with games.
Of course, as kids, that's what we do.
So while we understand the students who don't have it and can't keep up, the students that have it, how do we get them to manage, because remember, this a structure was at school to help them manage. Every hour they heard the bell, and then when they heard the bell, it was something else. They were conditioned to manage, but now they're forced into a situation without any bell, without any structure. How do we still get them to come up to work? Because teachers who are from my school were, because I think my school transitioned very well from physical to online. I think they did a good job. But what's one of the main problem right now? Excluding those who don't have. We're talking about those who don't have. There are two main problems. Those who have the data.
Yeah.
So excluding who don't have and who relying on data. We're talking about students who have connections.
Yeah.
They are not submitting. Some of them aren't submitting the work. How do you get a child who has this is a 12-year-old, he's not going to get up like you and me and say, listen, this has to be done, this has to be done. He or she is 12. More things are going to be exciting than schoolwork. Right. So how do we get as parents at home, how do we get our children, the ones that have the connection, to do the work?
So I take it, because this is something that's new, I think it's also going to be something that it's going to challenge educators and also parents to come up with new suggestions and new ways of doing things, right?
Yeah, it's really gonna put the educators to the drawing board.
Yeah, and I'm just in that comment that's on YouTube that, would you believe some people in Jamaica are discriminating against the frontline workers, even nurses. Again, nurses, it's disheartening. Well, and I'm going to say to people, the nurses are out there, the doctors are out there, they're trying to save lives. The last thing that you want to do is discriminate against the very person who may help to save your life. Take your necessary precaution that's needed, because you're doing it with nurses, but there are persons next to you that you never know who is carrying the virus. So be smart about it, be intelligent about it, and not discriminate against persons. We should be discriminating against the virus and taking the proper precaution, and that is what will keep us safe. So not persons, but the virus. And then, God forbid it reaches your family or my family. Would you want that to be the reaction of persons to you? Okay.
What if all the nurses decide, so listen, I'm not risking my life anymore, I'm staying home?
Yeah,
what if they decide that?
That's true.
What if they listen? Oh, I'm not going out anymore. It's not worth it. Because we have to understand that these people have young children at home as well. The nurses and the doctors, they have family as well. And it must be difficult for their families to see them go out in such a high-risk environment. Their selves are at risk when they're on their way to work. They're at risk while they're at work. They're at risk when they're leaving work. We're just not thinking.
Yeah. And I think for the most part,
they're not
it's
thinking.
Educating people, just having people just to be educated on things and making educated decisions about things and not being emotional about things.
I think some of the educated ones are involved as well. I think there are so many persons can't be that dumb. I think some of the educated ones are doing it as well, and that's just a shame.
Sad. So I've got another comment from Nicholas that mentioned having to be considerate that not all students learn the same way, and he's heard from multiple schoolmates saying that they are not comfortable learning online. They personally prefer face-to-face interactions with their teachers. And as a student, he can relate to that.
Sorry to laugh, but I'm laughing from a teacher's point of view. These are the same students that don't pay attention when I'm speaking.
They don't want to pay attention, but they miss having the teachers in the classroom.
It's a solid point, but I just had to laugh. It's a good point, because some children only know how to use social media.
Yeah.
So to be able to navigate, to navigate Google Classroom and Zoom, this is a new territory for them. You know what I'm saying? But I think something is gonna come out of COVID traditional education.
Yeah.
It's gonna be revolutionized.
For sure. As the same, at the end of every pandemic, there is a spiritual awakening, but also
That's
economic
true.
too, right? There are different ways of doing things that we'll learn, and hopefully from this we'll press on stronger and wiser in our, in our interactions and the things that we do, and we'll build a better nation, a better society, persons who are more caring, who are more cautious, who are also, taking hygiene seriously and things of that nature. So, Elvie, you're my
Yeah.
last caller for today, and I'm just going to ask you to sum up. Um, what advice do you have for others? That's one. And two, what two things do you appreciate more because of this experience? So, what advice would you have for others, whether it's the teachers or maybe it's the students? I'm probably talking to that Nicholas, that student that's there. What advice would you give for the students that's there? And then, what two things do you appreciate more because of this experience?
Oh, all right. My advice to parents, uh, we need you to realize that we need you more involved after the COVID is finished. Teachers need your help at school.
Okay.
But while you're in the crisis now, find some way to keep the children focused, happy, and reassured that everything is going to be. You're not promising them, but just give them some hope because the children are stressed just like us.
Yes, yes.
So if we can find some way to help them relax, play some family games, read them tell them some old time stories.
As one person mentioned, they're sharing stories about when the kids were born, when they were getting married, so things
Yes.
like that, family stories.
Yeah, some interesting things to keep their minds off everything that's happening. For the students, now is the time to. I'm not talking about the babies. No, I'm talking about the high school students. Now is the time to master the skill of self-management.
Okay.
Self-management. Okay, I'm in grade 9. This is what I have to do. That's what I have to do. So if I do it in the morning, I can have the afternoon to play. You understand what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes,
So self-management will include learning something new, plus doing what you should do when you should do it. Elvis Alta still learning that, but that's an advice.
yes. For sure.
Two things that I learned.
That you appreciate because of this experience.
Oh my God. I appreciate relationships more. Like, some relationships are gonna fall apart during quarantine.
Yeah.
But I've realized that this period together kind of enrich certain relationships that I have in my life.
Okay.
So I learn to appreciate relationships more. And what's happening? Oh, the sun. Oh my God. I think I'm gonna appreciate the sun some more. I went out. Which day? Friday. I went out Friday, and that sun was awesome. It was beach appropriate sun.
So enjoying the outdoors, although you have to be now that you're indoors more, you're enjoying the outdoors.
Outdoors never look so attractive.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then one bonus thing, I'm learning to comb my own hair. Yes, at 26, I'm just learning to comb my own hair.
So new skills.
So I'm
new
gonna leave
skills.
quarantine with a skill. So yes.
All right. Thank you, LV, and all the best.
You're welcome.
Continue,
Okay.
being a great teacher that you are and encouraging your students and parents alike.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you. Next time, you stay safe as well.
I will, for sure.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, thanks to everyone who called in today. I really hope it was beneficial to you. We had lots of highlights, lots of talks around similar things that people talked about, how they were managing during the experiences, having the flexibility, working things out with your kids, having your structure. Person talked about being more cemented in their faith, pulling on their faith more, sharing prayer voice notes for some people, calling and praying for others, or calling and leaving an encouraging note for others. Persons talk about, tag teaming husband and wife, or, whoever it is in your household, so that you can call someone, even one person for the day, to encourage them, especially those who are alone or those who are elderly, who are not able to go out, or who are more prone to catching the virus. Persons also talked about setting up schedule. We mentioned that learning new hobbies at home, taking time out to laugh, to smile, and one of the things that was mentioned, LV, the last caller mentioned, having those conversations with people is really something that helps you, and also pulling out others' experience. Others are having great experiences and they're pushing through this, so knowing that you're not in this alone. And that's something that I want to remind everyone, that you are not in this alone. We're all in this together, and if we band together, if we pool our resources together or strength together, we share experiences together, we can get through this stronger and better. For all those who commented online, just want to thank you, Nicholas, for sharing with us your view as a student. Anne-Marie for calling, for talking to us too, and Donette, mentioning, Anne-Marie just mentioned that this COVID is risky, but it does not discriminate. It could be you that it happens to. Donette, we also had Mike that spoke earlier. I want to tell you thanks. Dominic, who also chatted on our live earlier, telling you all thank you for sharing your information. And for those who find it informative, we just hope that you'll share this and that it will be a blessing or an encouragement to other people. And we want to mention too, and as I was saying in between thinking about this week, I said, because we've known so many persons who are impacted or families that are impacted, it's going to be even more that we ensure that our mental health is in a good state. And part of that is looking not only at mental, physical, going outside, enjoying the outdoors, doing something for your mind, having, calming, deep breathing. Journaling is also something that really helps persons to kind of clear their minds or try to process what's there. Learning a new hobby or a new skill, doing some puzzles, watching movies with the family, finding some downtime is something that we ought to investigate different things, because you may like different things based on what's there. Thank you, Stacy, for mentioning. It was a pleasure watching and learning. It was great having you on the line too. And the program was informative. So again, I'm going to encourage you all, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Next Sunday, we'll be here to share with you. And just one final thought I want to leave from this Book of Calm that someone had shared with me years and years and years ago. And more than ever now, this is a time that people want to seek calm in light of everything that's happening. Or, if you're not calm, you can't focus and process things. And just this statement that was made by Thomas Merton, and he is 1915 to 1968. So he would have lived during the period of the Spanish flu, because that was 1920, they said 100 years ago. So I'll share this note that he mentions: it is in deep solitude that I find the gentleness with which I can truly love my brothers. The more solitary I am, the more affection I have for them. It is pure affection and filled with reverence for the solitude of others. And I'll repeat it. It is in deep solitude that I find the gentleness with which I can truly love my brothers. The more solitary I am, the more affection I have for them. It is pure affection and filled with reverence for the solitude of others. And that's Thomas Merton. So in this time of solitude, let's find some more time to reflect on those we've got around us, not taking people for granted, not taking our relationships for granted, because we never know how long we've got them for. So let's make the best. And no man is an island, no man stands alone. So be there for your brother and your sister. Until next time, this is Sharonette. Have a wonderful week.